According to investigators, the perpetrator had entered the house through the garage. First, Kelly had been pushed down the stairs, evidenced by the investigators. At the same time, they also noted that nothing was stolen from the house. Jewelry was left untouched, lying in the jewelry box. The safe, which contains cash, was also untouched. The doors of all cabinets all over the house remained closed. In September 2015, Tom Clayton, who was the beloved husband of Kelly Clayton as usual, went to play poker with his friends. On the next day morning, while he was returning home, Kelly was lying in her pool of blood. Who was Kelly Clayton and Tom Clayton? Who killed her? This is your partner in crime stories. Subscribe and let's move along this mysterious journey ahead. Kelly Clayton was an extraordinary girl since she was schooling. She was also smart and bright during her high school. It meant that she also was a role model for the other students and inspired the other students through her qualities and learning skills. She had passed almost all the tests with distinctions at every possible time and was also an active student. The reason why she was described as not a typical girl was that she did not ordinarily spend days and nights as other girls do. She had not spent days in her life in front of textbooks and notebooks. She had followed her way in all aspects of her life. She also was interested in writing additional literature pieces, but not in a typical way. When we talk about her physical appearance, she is an attractive girl who looks like a model. Even though she was interested in modeling, she even built a modeling career due to her unique looks. But she was not. Soon after finishing her high school, she decided to become a chemistry teacher. Her parents also want her to become a chemistry teacher. Yes, it was the insane pride of the whole of her family. To become what she and her family expected had to spend years inside the university. But was that became her turning point as she and her family thought? But one day, Kelly took her documents from the institution and informed her parents that she no longer wanted to study until she became a chemistry teacher. Moreover, she informed her parents that she was very young and had to experience lots of other aspects in her life other than collecting educational qualifications through learning. She was no longer interested in spending her younger life in front of textbooks and notebooks and raising ungrateful children. But even after fulfilling her other desires in her life, she had enough time to return to her studies and continue from where she had stopped. After taking this one-sided decision, she had thought of living the rest of her life through traveling and living life according to her heart. But her parents were strictly and entirely against what she was doing at that moment. As a result of their daughter's one-sided decision, her parents had not even talked with her for around 6 months. After going through several one-sided decisions, Kelly meets her soulmate, Tom Clayton. They had met during a party of their mutual friends, and the young man had liked that girl. Tom was also beautiful looking due to his signs of attention. Secondly, Tom also had a beautiful appearance because he was an athlete. He was also a hockey star. For 4 consecutive seasons, he played for the semi-professional team. He was also considered a kind, strong man. Tom had to keep the full stop for his hockey career and had to make the chance only to enjoy his favorite sport through a TV or any other virtual method by sitting on a couch. Time passed and the couple had to move on with their lives. They first returned to New York and they got married there. Then they moved to North California. After that, they also moved to a very small town named Cato. Here it had only a very small population when compared with the other cities. After they resided here, Tom had a franchise company to rebuild houses after a fire or a natural disaster. Also, Tom had worked in a related profession for a friend's company. Kelly, after dropping her university, had to work as a waitress by changing to different places as they changed their cities. Kelly was also a mother of 2 daughters. However, Tom was earning well enough freedom to quit her job and remain in the house by looking after her children. But she had believed that the extra money that she earned was also useful at any moment she needed, whether for herself or their children. She had spent the money that she earned through her manpower for her children's needs. In September 2015, Tom Clayton, who was the beloved husband of Kelly Clayton as usual, went to play poker with his friends. He never participates or wife to such type of events at any time. Playing for money implied certain skills and experience in the game. Also, because someone had to be at home and look after her daughters, Kelly was not well interested in participating in such events with her beloved husband, Tom. Now, here is the twist. That evening was not Tom's. That evening, Tom was not lucky enough in the game, but he had never gotten up from the table. He had tried to, however, win back what he had lost. But nothing had gone in his direction, and none of his friends also had supported Tom. The next morning, he went home. But now what had happened? Tom is going to experience something unexpected in his life at this moment. Soon after returning to his home sweet home, what he saw was a picture of his beloved wife lying in her pool of blood. She was badly beaten and at first glance was not breathing. At that time, Tom had panicked and ran all over his house to look for what happened to his children too. Luckily, his children were fine but frightened. He had grabbed his children and had headed to his neighbor Dreck's house. At that moment, Tom was trying to make sure the two daughters didn't see their mother's brutally murdered body. Soon after heading to the neighbor's house, he dialed the police to inform them about this horrifying incident. The police arrived. When they arrived there, Tom was sitting on his knees in front of his wife's body trying to give her artificial respiration. According to the investigations, Kelly had been dead for a long time and neither they nor he could do anything to help his beloved wife. All the floors of the house were drenched in blood. Investigators had said that there had been a struggle between the perpetrator and Kelly, who had committed brutality towards Kelly. But the surprising thing was, why the killer had been, they were also at the house during the case happened. First, Kelly had been pushed down the stairs evidenced by the investigators. Also, she had been beaten on the head with a blunt object until she exhaled her last breath to the entire atmosphere. There were no hints of knife or gunshot wounds on Kelly's dead body. Now, here the questioning had begun. According to Kelly's eldest daughter, the perpetrator had entered the house in the appearance of a robber. Moreover, her eldest daughter and her sister were almost asleep, but at that time they had heard their mother start screaming from the next room saying, "Charlie, run away from here." Then, the two daughters cautiously went out of their mother's room. They had also seen how the killer had beaten Kelly with what appeared to them to be a hammer. The children ran back to a safe place, closed the door with a small nightstand, and hid under the bed, so that the criminal wasn't looking for them. According to Kelly's elder daughter, the criminal was a big guy like a bear. He was also wearing a mask like the one Daddy wears when he goes hunting with Mr. Bourne to shoot ducks. Also, the criminal had similar eyes to their dad. According to investigators, the perpetrator had entered the house through the garage. At the same time, they also noted that nothing was stolen from the house. Jewelry was left untouched, lying in the jewelry box. The safe, which contains cash, was also untouched. The doors of all cabinets all over the house remained closed. Now, here is the point. Tom Clayton was suspected guilty because only his wife was dead. He received an insurance payment. Through this process, he could get up to $1 million. But the surprising fact was to find evidence. The elder daughter's statements proved that the criminal's appearance was quite similar to their father's. Then the police questioned the other poker players who gathered that day with Tom Clayton. At last, the investigation concludes with some surprising discoveries. Tom Clayton, who was Kelly Clayton's beloved husband, asked a former employee named Michael to kill Kelly. Tom promised Michael a lot of money for this. Investigators checked Tom's phone records from September 28th to 29th. They found that Tom called Michael during that time. During the trial, Michael confessed that Tom asked him to set fire to Kelly. Tom wanted to make it look like an accident so he could claim insurance money later. In the end, Michael was found guilty on all charges. He was convicted of first-degree murder, which meant he would spend life in prison. Additionally, the jury sentenced him to another life term with a minimum of 4 years to be served concurrently. Kelly's sister was granted custody of her children. What do you think about this case? Stay tuned. We'll catch you with a new nail-biting crime thriller tomorrow.